Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial by ZebraCode. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to use the Visual Studio Code editor with the Python programming language. In the process, we will carry out some tasks. We will download and install Python on our computer. We will download and install Visual Studio Code on our computer. Visual Studio Code can be abbreviated as VSC or VS Code. We will install Python extensions in Visual Studio Code, and we will create and run Python code in Visual Studio Code. To do that, we will download Python and Visual Studio Code. We will download Python from their official website, which is this link, and we will download Visual Studio Code from their official website, which is this link. You can follow these links to get to their respective websites, or you do a Google search for Python download and Visual Studio Code download. You will also be able to get to their official website. But for me, I will follow this link to get to the official website for Python. By following the link on the previous slide, I am now on the official website for Python. As at the time of recording this video, this is how the website looks. It may change by the time you would be watching this video or installing Python. There are many ways we can download it. We can click on Downloads, then download it from here, or we click on this big button here to download it. I am on Windows and I'm going to download this one here. So I will click on this big button to download it. Click on it. Great. Now it has finished downloading. It is an executable file and I am going to open it in where it has been downloaded to. All right. It was downloaded to my downloads folder. Find out where yours was downloaded to. It is an executable file, so let's double click on it to install it. I will double click on it. All right. Now this screen will open. We don't need to customize our installation. We will just click on the Install Now option here. First, click on this, add Python 3.10 to path. Now click on this one, Install Now. It says Setup Progress. Installing. Be patient, it won't take too long to install. Great, setup was successful. We have successfully installed Python on our computer. Now, let's set the environment variable. I'm going to close this. Let's look at the installation. Go to Start. Here we have it. Python 3.10 was installed. It's new. And click here and right click here where it says now More. Click on Open File Location. Great. This shows where it was installed in on our system. On this one here, IDLE, right click on it again. Also Open File Location. Great. Now this is where we have installed it. Copy this part. And now type in here variable so that we can open the system environment variables. Here click environment variables. And here for the system variables, the bottom one, click on path, edit, new. Now paste that line you've just copied for the path, hit enter. Now let's move it to the top. Great, it's right at the top. Click OK, OK, and OK. Now, while we are still inside this folder, open the scripts folder here, this one here, scripts, open it, and copy the path too. Now let's open the environment variable again. System variables, environment variables. Here again for system variables, path. Click edit, new, and paste it there. Hit enter. Now let's move it to the top as well. Move up. Great. So they are both now at the top. The reason we are doing this is for the system to find it. Sometimes, even though if you place it at the bottom, the system may not recognize it. So to avoid having error message that Python cannot be found or no Python. So now click OK, OK, and OK. So we have successfully set now the environment variable. The next thing we need to do now is to open the command line, the command prompt, and check what version of Python we have installed. Click here, cmd, command prompt. Now type in Python space --, version, hit enter. Great. It shows now that we have successfully installed Python 3.10.6. You may get something similar to this depending on the version you have installed. So now we have successfully installed Python on our machine, and we have successfully set the environment variable for Python. The next thing for us to do now is to download and install Visual Studio Code. I am going to follow this link to go to the official website for Visual Studio Code. You can follow this link or do a Google search for Visual Studio Code download. It will take you to the same website. Okay, by following the link in the previous slide, I am now on their official website. This is the official website for Visual Studio Code. As at the time of recording this video, this is how it looks. There are many ways you can download Visual Studio Code. You can click on this icon here, download, or you can download it here. When you click on this one, it will show you the different options that are available for different operating systems. If you click on this one, it will also show you the different options that are available for different operating systems. This is for Windows, this is for Linux, and this is for Mac. I am on Windows, so I will just click on this Windows download icon, click on it, and it is downloading. Great, it has finished downloading. Now I'm going to click on show in folder to find it in where it was downloaded to. It is an executable file. Click on it. Yes, it was downloaded to my downloads folder. Find yours in where it was downloaded to. It is likely going to be in your downloads folder. Because it is an executable file, we can double click on it to execute it. Double click on it to install it. Great. You can read the license agreement for Microsoft Visual Studio Code, and once you are happy with the agreement, you click I accept and click next. Here it says additional icons, create a desktop icon, tick it. So select these three options and click next. Now click install. It won't take long. Be patient. Great, the installation was done successfully. Now click finish. Great, now we have successfully installed both Python and Visual Studio Code on our computer. I am going to close these windows. We don't need them anymore. Now we have the Visual Studio Code shortcut icon on our desktop. So let's launch Visual Studio Code. There are many ways that we can launch Visual Studio Code. We can click on this shortcut icon to launch it. Now we have Visual Studio Code open. I'm going to minimize this one for now. Another way to launch Visual Studio Code is to go through the Start menu. Then from All Programs, look for Visual Studio Code. Here it is. And double click on it. Great. Now we have Visual Studio Code open as well. I'm going to minimize this one as well. Visual Studio Code works with folders, not with projects. So let's create a folder on our desktop and open Visual Studio Code through the folder using the CMD command prompt. Now I will create a folder here. Right click on my computer, new folder. I will name it just demo. Now I have a folder named just demo. I am going to use the CMD command prompt to open Visual Studio Code from this folder. To do that, type in here CMD command prompt. It is on my desktop. I will cd desktop, that is change directory to desktop, hit enter. Now I will change directory into this folder, that's cd just demo, hit enter. Great. Now I am inside the just demo folder. I am inside this folder. Now type in code space dot and hit enter. Great. Now we have Visual Studio Code open and the folder is here just demo. Visual Studio Code allows you to open multiple instances of the code editor. So you can open multiple instances of Visual Studio Code on your computer. When you launch Visual Studio Code for the first time, this is the welcome page you get, the Get Started page. It shows here welcome page on startup. And here we have Get Started with Jupyter Notebooks, Get Started with Python development, boost your productivity, learn the fundamentals, Get Started with Visual Studio Code. These are all under the walkthroughs. Python and Jupyter are now part of Visual Studio Code. There is an improved IntelliSense support for Jupyter Notebooks on Visual Studio Code. Here you can start by creating a new file, open folder, clone Git repository. They are all here as well. Like I said earlier, Visual Studio Code works on folders, not on projects. If you go to File, you will have the option to open folder, but there is no option to open a project or create a project. There is no option to create a folder. This is for Python, and this is for extensions. If you want to install an extension, we use this one. This one is to run and debug our code, and this one is for source control versioning for Git or GitHub or Bitbucket. We can use this. We use this one to search our file. This one is to open editor. You click on it again, it brings it back. Now that we have our just demo folder open, we can use this one to create a new file inside our folder. We can use this one to create a new folder inside our just demo folder. We can use this one to refresh the Explorer, and we can use this one to collapse folders in the Explorer. This one is for the timeline. You can expand it or collapse it. This one is for the outline. You can also expand or collapse it. Now let's create a file inside our just demo folder. Click on this icon here for new file, and I will call it app.py. py for Python. Hit enter. Great. Now we have a Python file to work with. Let me close this Get Started page. Now let's enter some Python code. First I will say print hello world. Save it. Now let's run it. To run our code in Python is very easy. Click on this icon here, this run code, and we have our hello world printed out here. It's running, and now we have hello world printed out on the output. So this is how you create a file in Python and run your code. If I modify it, here I say A equals 56, B equals 98, C equals A plus B. Now let's print out C. Print C. Save it and run it again. Exactly. We have here now hello world, and it prints out 154. So this is how you run your code in Python using Visual Studio Code. If you want to add extensions to Visual Studio Code for Python, that is very easy. You can click here extensions, or you go to view extensions. You will be able to add the extensions that you want to add. If I click on extensions here now, it brings up this page. So at the moment it says installed. I have got 35 extensions installed. If I want to add another extension, I can easily do that. For example, if I type in here Python, yes, now it shows me all the Python related extensions that I can install. For example, this is one here. It says Python extended. If I click on it, now it says Python extended by Taiwo Karim, and to install it, I can click on install. It is installed, and it says now this extension is enabled globally. If I want to uninstall it, I will click here uninstall, and the extension will be uninstalled from my system. And here, Python IntelliSense Parlance, it is installed by default. Python extension for Visual Studio Code. This Python extension is from Microsoft. It says Python extension for Visual Studio Code, a Visual Studio Code extension with rich support for the Python language, including features such as IntelliSense, which is from Parlance, lathing, debugging, code navigation, code formatting, refactoring, variable explorer, text explorer, and more. So this is a part of the Python extension for Visual Studio Code by Microsoft. Now I'm going to close this one. And here we have a Jupyter, which is also now part of the Visual Studio Code code editor. I am going to close the panel. Click on this one, close panel. When you run your code, it will bring it back again. Click on this one to open the editors. We can use the search feature to look for something in our document. For example, if I type in here now, hello, see hello is highlighted here. So it finds hello in this document. If I type in 98, it's actually highlighting 98 here, and it shows 98 here as well. If I click on it, it takes me to where it is on my document. This is just to search your document. It is not to search for things like plugins or so. It is the document that you have open that you use the search feature to search something. One thing I would like to quickly show you is the settings. Click on this icon here, bottom left. If you want to change your color theme, click on this one. By default, it's dark. So if I want to change it to something else, for example, material theme, I click on this. This is how it looks. To change it back to what it was before, click on this icon again. Color theme, dark, and it will bring it back to what it was before. So you can choose any theme that you are happy with there. Again, click on this icon, and let's go to the settings. We can configure Visual Studio Code here. For example, the font size at the moment is 18. We can change it to something else, maybe 30. I hit enter. You see now it has increased the font size. I'm going to change it back to what it was before. Just Ctrl+Z. That will be 18. You can scroll down here for more features that you may want to customize. There are so many things that you can change here, and it's used for different programming languages. There are so many things that you can change here depending on what you are using it for. For here we have something like PHP, NPM, Python. We are using it for Python, so at the moment we are just concerned about the Python related features for Visual Studio Code. I'm going to close this one. So that is all for this video now. In this video, we have successfully installed Visual Studio Code on our machine. We have successfully installed Python on our machine. We have successfully set the environment variable, and we have successfully demonstrated how to write and run Python code in Visual Studio Code. I hope you learned something from this video. Please subscribe to this channel, comment in the comment section, and like the video. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.